What is up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm Jeff Hartman, and joined with me always is the man with the picks, Pez himself, coming off a pretty stellar week. Pez, what's up?
Jeff, we're happy. We're not completely happy, Jeff, because we'll get into it. This wild west of what they used to call college football, Jeff. I got all kinds of anger and complaints, Jeff. But NFL, we're rocking, Jeff. We've got Philadelphia Eagles looking, they're going in the right direction. Jeff, I had a rough weekend though. I'm up in the mountains, Jeff, and I'm driving home Monday, Columbus Day. The wife has this fancy Toyota 4Runner. I got nothing but good things to say, Jeff, save for one thing. Tire blows up up in the mountains of Vermont.
Oh, geez.
I try to be a manly kind of guy, Jeff. I got to show off for the wife. I mean, she's hot. She's hotter than me, Jeff, so I got to show. Jeff, the 4Runner does not give you a jack that can reach high enough to jack up your truck, Jeff. It's insanity. I started at 6:10 in the morning. I'm hitting YouTube. Everyone says it. Put the 2x4s under. I want FFSN to investigate this, Jeff. I want my money back on this wagon. 2 hours, Jeff, and I had to concede and get roadside assistance. The guy came up laughing. He goes, anytime I hear 4Runner, I know this is 2 minutes. You had everything done. He goes, the jack's not big enough. FFSN needs to investigate it, Jeff. It reminds me of college football. No regulation on jacks in the car, Jeff. We got to work on this. I had to let that out.
All right. Well, outside of that, you had a pretty good week last week, not counting college football. We'll get to that. Let's start off, though, with Major League Baseball playoffs. You've been killing it. Major League Baseball playoffs, we have a record of 7-2 since the playoffs started. Now, our play for potentially winning the World Series, the San Diego Padres, that's no good anymore. But still, 7-2 in the playoffs. What have you been doing that's been so successful?
Jeff, the only thing we're kicking ourselves on is, that Padres play. We should have, what's called middling. We should have taken the Dodgers. We should have kind of preserved our bet and taken them in that clinching game just in case we lost to cover our season wager. But, we missed that one, Jeff. That's a big mistake. We feel bad to the gamblers. I got attacked by some of the pros. Some of my colleagues said, you missed out on free money. So that's kind of free money, right? You win or lose either way a little bit, Jeff. But, I feel like dialed in like we did the start of the season, and pitching it has been everything, Jeff. And it's the whole bullpen game is a new technique a lot of teams are using, where they're not afraid to put another guy out there every inning, which makes things a little tougher. But I feel like good hitting teams, you're not beating them with bullpen units out there. You got to have a starting pitcher who's dealing, and we just been playing the numbers, Jeff, and I'm happy. And like we've talked about, there's so much data on baseball. If you're not making a database play on baseball at this point, you're just flipping a coin. So when the data's there and, the situation's correct, we're not going to lay 180 to win 100, Jeff. It's stupid, right? We got a ton of games we can play, different sports right now. Even hockey we're going to start looking at. So at the end of the day, we're looking for maximizing profit with minimal risk. And we've been happy, Jeff. We laid a run and a half, 2 straight games. Nailed both of them. We got extra 35 on every $100 play. It's almost like winning 3 plays on 2 plays. So we're happy, but we're cautious. We're not taking games where there's a significant money line, and the pitching situation doesn't look like we should take a run line either. Yankees last night, we're recording Wednesday, so they won, Jeff, and I had a feeling the starting pitching might be a little awkward with the Yankees, and he wasn't great last night. But to give a run and a half, they won by 3. We could have hit that, but I'm glad we laid off, and we're going to keep looking for those deals when they're out there.
All right, we'll talk about some potential baseball playoff picks here in a second, but let's also talk about the other successful, we'll call it enterprise here at Pez's Picks. That's the NFL. We're 16-10 coming off a 4-1 week last week. Again, I'll ask you this question, and I've asked this to other people here at Fans First Sports Network. Do you feel like at this stage, heading into week 7, that we kind of have a good feel for some of the teams, or do you still feel like it's a crapshoot?
So it's funny, Jeff. I was thinking about it, and I'm trying to look at college football like this. What becomes easier? There are teams you're not betting. There are teams that the quarterback situation or coaching or defensive situation, you're eliminating them. So a big part of sports handicapping is trying to see the whole field, see the picture, Jeff. And when you can eliminate 4 or 5 games because one of those 2 teams presents no consistency, it helps you dial in a little bit more. I feel like we're there. I feel like there are teams that we're not going to take, Jeff. And I hate to talk about it. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, right now we've lost a significant player, Mailata, this, fantasy amazing guy from Australia comes to America. He looks like a Hall of Famer, Jeff. He's amazing. But with that guy down, I think that's a significant injury while he's out, just like with Hutchinson. I don't think we can take Detroit until there's proven data that both teams can kind of overcome these injuries. And I think injured linemen are kind of the hidden kryptonite of sports gambling. People don't rate them as high as a receiver, running back. I think they're just as important. I think Hutchinson, he might be more important than Goff in terms of taking Detroit in some ways, Jeff. So I feel like we're good in that situation, and we're going to keep plugging away with our system. And quarterback play and home field advantage is a big part of that too.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and we're going to start talking about the NCAA. We have an 11-15 record coming off a 1-2 week. Because, like you said, it's a Wild West. And if anyone knows anything about the Wild West in that part of our history, that was a dangerous time. It was a dangerous time. So we're dipping our toes into that water. I don't blame you if you were to pull off and not have as many plays. But even last week, it looked like you were pretty confident in your picks. Go ahead and touch on last week, and then what are your picks for this week? Let's start with last week, though.
Jeff, our one of our many, nation, global, we're going to say worldwide, Jeff, connections in the Pez's Picks family here, the six-string JMU punter from 21 years ago, who we're going to credit last week's pick with, Jeff, and that hit
true.
100%. We had a winner on that. I talked about it with him today. I saw him, and I said, he goes, you're hot. I said, yeah, except college football. He said, he looked at me, Jeff, straight face. This guy's a straight shooter, par golfer, Jeff, which I find weird that you can be, and he's a machine. He said, college football is shit. So I think that's basically right, Jeff. We got to be careful with this. There are no regulations. We lost Florida, Tennessee, and I watched that game. I got really angry, Jeff. Florida was clearly cheating. Tennessee runs a no-huddle offense. Everybody knows that. I mean, they're great at it. Florida fakes so many injuries. Even the announcers were talking about it, Jeff. Which you're dealing with young men here. I don't want to suggest a young man's faking an injury, but this guy's faking. He's coming back in the game every 2-3 plays. Now, my old colleague, the Action Man, he would say to me, "Well, suck it up. That's winning. You're using the rules to win." I think it's an ugly part of the game, Jeff, and it hesitates me to take Tennessee. I don't know if we can take them again. Florida clearly did it, and it worked, and they took the pace off of that team. It took their whole mojo. So I think with college football, we need some help, Jeff. We need regulation. I think the talent right now is unbelievable. The coaching level is unbelievable. You could argue Florida did a great job coaching. I mean, they outcoached Tennessee, maybe bending the rules a little bit. So, I feel like even Ohio State and Oregon, the coach kind of admitted, I purposely put an extra guy on the field at the end. What is this, Jeff? This is insane. In the NFL, if you do that, you lose picks. You get fined. There's nobody regulating college football. So, we got to look at situational play. We got to look at teams that need to score points and win. And I think we're going to figure it out. I really do.
I mean, you brought it up in past episodes about the depth on teams and how really, like, it used to be that the backup center at Alabama who didn't hardly play his senior year but still get drafted because he was that good. But now these players are moving all around. You have Alabama almost getting upset by South Carolina. Like, these are big spreads too. And so you can, and let me ask you this, I'll pose it as a question. Do you think that the sports books are also kind of thrown off by college football? Because some of these spreads are ridiculous. And sometimes they're not even coming close. Like, these games are not being the predictors. We always look at the lines as a potential predictor. They've been wrong way more than they've been right, in my opinion. Do you agree or disagree?
100% agree, Jeff. And it's something we don't see in the NFL. I mean, these lines are still pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
Most of them come down to the last play. I think part of the problem with college football, and I've been around this a little bit, Jeff, in the Caribbean islands a long time ago, around the sports betting startups, and they're bringing people in to set lines. One of the things you do is you're entering data, you're entering averages and known quantities of players, yardage, points, defense, how much they're letting up, and everybody punches that algorithm in. We don't have the data on a lot of these guys, like you said. There's guys starting that might have been a third stringer at Alabama last year. They're starting for Kansas, Illinois, and we're not really sure what is their production rate. Who is this coach, and what is the defensive, scoring, advantage compared to, a system they ran last year. So I think it's fun. But we got to be careful. And, college, we always talk about it. We have for a year, Jeff. NFL, baseball are way better investments in college sports. And they're college players, right? If they're getting paid, Jeff, which we don't know, there's no salary cap, there's no salary published. Who knows what these guys are getting paid on top of it? Who knows what else they're getting? They're getting flights to Vegas, Jeff. They're getting Johnny Manziel all over the country now, and it's kind of legal. These guys might be at some party in Miami and have a game in 2 days. What do we know, right? So I think we got to look at it that way. We got to look at them. They're kids, and they're out having fun, and they're getting paid. And I think there's going to have to be a different system we're going to have to develop and look at.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, what are your picks for this week in the NCAA?
So, we're trying to stick with, with teams and games that mean a lot, Jeff. And, and I think in these situations, we love all these. First game we're taking, and unless something changes, Jeff, I'd announce on Instagram. But I think all three of these games we're taking. These aren't, just leans for the NCAA, at least this week. We're all over these games. And the first one's Nebraska, Indiana. I love Nebraska, Jeff, and Indiana. It's a new team in college football to be ranked real high. Not a lot of pedigree there in terms of being a top 20 team. When you look at Nebraska, their quarterback, his family, Raiola, Detroit Lion, I think his dad was. This kid's a phenom. 9 TDs to 3 picks this year. You've got NFL coaching on that sideline for Nebraska. I feel like this game screams trap game. I love Raiola in this situation, and when you look at the data, Nebraska may have played a tougher schedule so far than Indiana. They've beaten the likes of Northwestern, Maryland, Charlotte. UCLA's no good this year, so you could argue Indiana's had kind of a phony schedule where Nebraska's played some big dogs, and I think this game is a game for them to crack back in the top 20, maybe try and win their league, and I think possibly get in that top 12. So. Love Nebraska plus 6.5 or 7. Love that game all day.
So Nebraska is getting 6.5?
6.5 or 7 at Indiana.
Wow. Okay.
I love it, Jeff.
That does. Yeah. That seems like it's a funny line there. Okay. Let's go to the next pick. What else?
So, when in doubt, Jeff, in college football, you take Miami. I don't think you ever go wrong with taking Miami. Number 6 in the country right now. You want to be as high as you can in that top 12. Louisville. I've been to that town a number of times at the Kentucky Derby, Jeff. That town's kind of funky. That's got a weird voodoo to it. You get a lot of trouble in Louisville, Jeff, or as they say in Louisville. The only thing I worry about is that stadium is a little odd, but I think Miami laying 5 points. They have a better team. They have more talent on the sideline, and I think they've got something to prove. Right, you got to keep winning. And they have a tough schedule. Louisville's a must-win game. Not a far commute for them either. So I love Miami -5. I love that game.
Yeah, Miami's gotten lucky a couple occasions, but they're still winning. They're finding ways to win. -5. That's an interesting line against Louisville. So what's your final pick in NCAA?
Jeff, we do it every week. We got to take the Saturday night game. I mean, we're looking at Alabama. That game, with Tennessee, I don't know. We're going to punch numbers on that. That could be a late release. I want to take Alabama, Jeff, but I heard a guy say this a few weeks ago. I think Georgia might have exposed something with Alabama's defense in that second half, and their defense has not looked dominant since. So that's something we're going to kind of punch numbers and look at. But Georgia, Texas, you know what we're getting, Jeff. We're getting two of the – you could argue the best 2 teams, 2 top 3 teams. Jeff, I find it insulting Georgia's getting points. Georgia is getting 5 points. Who are we kidding here, Jeff? That's Georgia. They're using that this week. That team probably still has 3 deep in every position, maybe better than anybody in the country right now. So that defense, I love them. I know nobody's really talking about it, Jeff, but I think they're, in some ways, when you look at the quarterback situation in Texas, with Ewers and Manning, I feel like there is a little bit of a quarterback controversy there. I mean, Arch Manning or Archie, whatever we called him,
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome, Jeff, right? That guy. 2 uncles are Hall of Famers. His granddad's I don't know if he's Hall of Famer, but he's a NFL quarterback. So
yeah,
I think there's a little pressure there, and I think things get tight. I think Ewers can get tight, and I'm going to bet Georgia in that situation all day. anytime you got Georgia at +5, you take it, Jeff. That's a rule.
We took the Saturday night game last week and lost that one when Ohio State didn't win over your Oregon, which again, some interesting stuff happened there at the end of that game with the 12. Hey, if the loophole's there, I can't be mad at someone for taking it.
No, and that game, I mean, we talked about it. That was a close one. Gabriel played unbelievable for Oregon. That guy couldn't miss, right? And when you run into a quarterback in college like that, I mean, they deserve to win that. And that team's great. That team is, especially at home, that team is great. They're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs.
All right, so there you have our plays. Nebraska versus Indiana, taking Nebraska +6.5. Miami versus Louisville, take Miami -5. And Saturday night, Georgia versus Texas, Georgia +5, take the Bulldogs. And you mentioned it, Alabama, Tennessee could be a lean upcoming. Make sure you check out all of the Pez's picks on the socials at Pez's Picks, PEZSPICKS. And that's on Instagram and Twitter. So keep on the lookout in case we decide to play Alabama and Tennessee. But now let's go to our bread and butter, the National Football League. Some big games this week. I'm curious to see who you're taking, but let's talk about last week first. Last week, winners were the 49ers at the Seahawks on Thursday night, Steelers at the Raiders, Monday Night Football, the Bills at the Jets, and we got Atlanta. Atlanta pulled out a win for us there as well. But the lone loss, I still can't believe you did this. This was not on our show. You took the Cockroaches on a total bet, and that did not pan out as they got absolutely waxed by the Detroit Lions at home on Jerry Jones's 82nd birthday. So what did you think of last week?
Jeff, I hate to say it, but it's our only loss. And we weren't too upset about Jeff and Pez's picks. We celebrate the demise of the Cockroaches. That game and, the games that, the first three we talked about on the show, in our system, they were 6-star hits, Jeff. They hit beyond every category we look for. Atlanta, and the line moved a little bit, so we kind of changed our opinion. And that total pick were things we looked at kind of coming in late. Yeah, I did not think Dallas would win, but who would have thought they put up 9 points, Jeff? I mean, what is going on down there? How is that guy not fired? I mean, you fire Saleh. McCarthy's probably playing with $1 billion of salary, right? So I love it, Jeff. Atlanta, great. I mean, I don't know. I feel bad for Carolina. And Atlanta, and if you give time to my guy, Turd Cousins, Jeff, that guy can light it up. I mean, he's playing well right now. We got to give it to them. Atlanta looks like a solid team. Their defense looks for real a little bit. With San Francisco, I think we learned a lot from both teams, Jeff. I think Seattle's been exposed. I think the Geno Smith experiment is over. I think it's clear he is a backup quarterback who had a decent year or year and a half. And I think what we learned with San Fran, they're giving up a lot of points even to bad teams still. I mean, they surrendered 21 in the second half, so you can't really say they hung it up early. Purdy, he is what he is when you give him time. But their run game, Jeff, they have more injuries in that backfield. I think that team's got holes more than they did last year. But all in all, a great week, Jeff. And, we're happy about it. We love the Buffalo play. Jeff, I was thinking about you watching the Buffalo play against a lunatic Aaron Rodgers. That's exactly Aaron Rodgers, that stupid Hail Mary. That guy, he threw that ball like a mile into the air. He's got the best arm maybe we've ever seen. He's so crazy there, Jeff. How can we like him? And I don't like the future for that team. I don't know if Adams coming there is a good thing, Jeff. Is he healthy? That guy's another ego in the locker room with a guy that's in a weak position as a head coach. I love it, Jeff. I smell blood in the water in the Meadowlands right now. I love it.
All right, so let's go over our picks for this week. What you got?
So starting off, this is a guaranteed lock. We're taking this game unless Patrick Mahomes goes down or something. Kansas City is currently getting a point, Jeff, in San Francisco. I hope you're insulted by it too. I know I am. Sometimes, the books they tell you something.
You say Kansas City getting a point?
They're getting a point, Jeff. So,
wow.
I looked at this game I started looking at it last week, Jeff, when I was watching Kansas City and they were on the bye week. I said, what am I not seeing here? And San Francisco lost yet another running back. I'm not sure if he's playing. I mean, they finished the game with a real rookie running back. Mason went down with a shoulder injury, and he was having a nice game. So I don't know if he's playing, Jeff. I don't think it really matters. I think Kansas City's offense is without a doubt better, and I think their defense is better. when you punch the numbers, their defense, they're overall ranked better than San Francisco. So I don't know where this is coming from. Jeff, we've got numbers. And our guy Andy Reid, I miss him, Jeff. I miss him in Philadelphia. We're dealing with a lunatic with Sirianni. I don't know what the heck's going on with that guy, but Andy Reid, his numbers coming off of a bye, Jeff, are literally shocking. I believe he's 24-3 after the bye week in the regular season, which is 21-3, Jeff, after a regular season bye week, 8-2 after the bye week, Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what is Vegas kind of luring people in. Is this the parlay trap game? I don't know, Jeff. We're taking it. We're taking Mahomes. I think they're an outright winner. I mean, if you want to be a little bit more of a gambler, Jeff, you can take the money line. Where you're only getting even money right now. So I think you take the point. Why not? Well, we'll take free money. Unless it's, minus 130, 140, then you take the money line. But I love Kansas City. 4-1 against the spread this year. San Francisco's 3-3 against the spread. I don't understand it, Jeff. We're on it. We love it. I don't even want to talk about it. I feel like I'm jinxing ourselves.
All right. So that's a game you're definitely playing. What else you got?
So another game we like, Jeff, and, this is determinant on a lot of situation right now, but I like Pittsburgh getting 2 at home, Jeff. I mean, every rule seems to be being broken this week. Who gives Kansas City points? Who gives Pittsburgh, who's got a solid team this year, points at home? 51-24 at home since 2015, Pittsburgh, Jeff. I mean, that's more than 2 out of – I mean, what are we looking at here, Jeff? That's insulting. My only concern, Russell might be starting. I mean, we're taping this on Wednesday. I don't know. Has that been confirmed?
Not confirmed. He did take first team reps in practice on Wednesday. So that does not mean that it's a guarantee. And it's also not a guarantee that Justin Fields wouldn't also play in the game in some situations. I think this line moved from the Steelers were giving a point at one point, and then when Devontae Adams goes to the Jets, and then all of a sudden Russell Wilson is potentially being the starter, now it shifts to the Steelers are getting, you said 2?
They're getting 2, Jeff, which is insulting. And, I'm going to confer with you and Coach KT Smith, my go-to Steelers, X's and O's guys. If you tell me Russell's okay, we're going to unload on this one too, Jeff. I love it. I don't think Adams, if he even plays against that defense, Jeff, they're going to look at this as an insult. They got a lot to prove. I mean, 4-2 right now, Pittsburgh. I love this situation. 51-24. I mean, it's since 2015. How can we go against this? And the team, I mean, I think I love this game no matter who's quarterback, and I think we're taking it, Jeff. Lock that up.
All right. Any other picks, or are you having us wait around on your social media?
Well, we've got 2 more, Jeff.
Okay.
We've got Seattle, Atlanta. Seattle comes in 1-4 against the spread, Jeff, and I already talked about it a little bit. I don't think Geno Smith is a quarterback that you're going to win a lot of games with in the NFL anymore. I think, they had some good schemes with him. For whatever reason, this new coaching staff, they're not jiving with his game. And Atlanta has put themselves in a position to be considered a very good team. 4-2. They have a balanced offense. I don't think Seattle's defense matches up with them. I don't think their offense matches up with them. Quarterback play, especially, Jeff. And, I hate to compliment Kirk Cousins, but he's playing pretty well. And, when we watched this game last week, Kirk Cousins and Purdy are very similar quarterbacks. If you give them time and you give them guys open throughout the middle, and it's this defense we've been talking about, kind of not to give up the splash play, which Seattle was running last week, and Purdy just kind of picked them apart. I think more of the same. And I think Seattle's starting to, kind of wonder a little bit what's going on there. There's got to be whispers in that locker room, Jeff. Long commute from Seattle to Atlanta. I love it. All over Atlanta. -2.5. We love that game.
All right, so Atlanta -2.5. You're taking the Falcons over the Seahawks. All right, very good. All right, last play. What do you got?
Well, it's gonna hurt me, Jeff. This is painful to me because I love the team and the organization. We're taking a strong look. Detroit at Minnesota. Minnesota laying 2.5. They're 5-0 against the spread, Jeff. Lions since 2020, which is kind of the nucleus of this team. Goff and coaching staff, what have you. Lions are 1-3 at the Vikings since 2020. I think Hutchinson presents such a problem to that defense. That guy he's a game changer, Jeff. I mean, that guy is their D line. They come into that game ranked third in the league against the pass. I think they're only giving up or against the run. They're only giving up about 83 yards a game. I think without Hutchinson, we're going to see that number go up. They came into this week 27th against the pass, so they're not pressuring the quarterback too much anyway. Without Hutchinson, I don't know who's pressuring. So I think Minnesota is at such an advantage in this situation at home, coming in hot. They know each other very well. And I think Minnesota is a team that's going to know the impact of Hutchinson more than most teams in the league. They play them twice a year. I feel bad for Detroit, if they win this game, Campbell is a great coach, Jeff. Right? This guy's a great coach. He can coach of the year already. I don't think they're in a situation to win it. I think emotionally it's a downer too. So Minnesota -2.5. I feel bad saying it, but it's about money, Jeff. We're not betting emotion. We're betting money here. I'd bet against my mom if we were making money, right?
Well, the funny thing is too that you brought up the emotion of it, not just with the Hutchinson injury, but coming off of that huge win over Dallas. Is there going to be a letdown divisional game? Minnesota's coming off their bye week. There's a lot of factors here, but let's go over the NFL plays again for those that might have missed. Kansas City at San Francisco. Casey's getting a point. Take the Chiefs. Pittsburgh Steelers are hosting the New York Jets. Steelers are getting 2. You're saying take the Steelers. Atlanta and Seattle. Atlanta is spotting 2.5. Doesn't matter. Take the Falcons. And Minnesota is also spotting 2.5 against Detroit at home. You're saying take the Vikings to stay red hot and stay undefeated. So, all right. Any Major League Baseball plays you want to go over? Or we just you still looking at the algorithm?
Jeff, we're taking it game by game, and these pitching situations change a little bit. Tonight, this is Wednesday, Dodgers at the Mets. I think the line tells you you're taking this game. You're taking a coin toss. We don't like taking coin toss games, Jeff. Yeah. It's about even money right now. Both teams -105, -110. We followed a lot the Mets this year. We see him a lot in Philadelphia down here. So Severino is a great pitcher, Jeff. This guy's the real deal. Big dude, experienced, and I don't put it by Walker Buehler either. The guy's been around the league a long time. His record's not great, but I think that's a guy that can start you off and kind of have the Mets a little bit, kind of on their heels. So we're going to sit this one out. We're taking a look tomorrow. We got 2 games Thursdays. We're taking one of them, Jeff. We'll take one of those baseball games tomorrow. We can lock that for sure.
All right, fair enough. Any final thoughts on this week?
Well, let's take it easy, Jeff. Before we pull out our shoulders, pat ourselves on the back. It's still the NFL, Jeff. It's not the Wild West, but it's something. So we gotta keep on pushing. Take the wives out, Jeff. I'm up in these Vermont mountains. People drive for hours to look at the leaves. It's kind of a weird thing, Jeff, and they're kind of cool. There's a lot of colors, but traffic and the leaf mania has reached. I don't think it's ever been higher in America, Jeff, and I'm proud of the country for getting behind nature. It's about time we get behind that. That's all we got.
All right, Pez. Enjoy the games this weekend, man. We will touch base next week. Take it easy.
Later.